Well, all right, now, a bill with new sanctions is backed by more than a dozen Democratic senators in the middle of all these sensitive nuclear talks. That is what the White House did not want, and a sign Mr. Obama may be losing clout within his own party. Got a lot to get to now with Stephen Hayes, CEO of D.C. International Advisory, served as Deputy Assistant to Vice President Dick Cheney on National Security Affairs. Out of Idaho Falls today. Stephen, thank you for your time. Let me get to this veto threat in a moment. Why are these senators doing what they're doing, despite the pleas not to?
Well, I think they took the administration's logic at face value. The administration made very, very clear they believed that tough sanctions were absolutely vital in bringing Iran to the negotiating table to get this joint action plan in place, this temporary agreement. And so it just logic simply follows that if the threat of sanctions was critical in getting a partial deal, the threat of them being reimposed could only be conducive to reaching the final agreement and securing implementation.
Would you expect a vote in Congress to buck the trend of the White House? And if so, is this the president's most high-profile veto in 5 years?
It would be very high profile. I think that a lot of time between now and January, the Congress is going to go out of session. They're not going to take this bill up for a vote until January, if they take it up at all. At that time, the majority leader will have a significant say on whether it comes to a vote. Personally, I see this as having strong grassroots support, and a lot of members are hearing from their constituencies that they don't believe that faith and diplomacy alone is going to address this issue. While they might support a diplomatic conclusion, they want the threat of sanctions being reimposed as part of that mix.
I apologize for the interruption, but clearly they don't trust Tehran either, and you're going to see this poll from the American people as well in a moment. Here is Ed Henry about the politics of this. Listen closely.
What does that say about the president standing with his own party right now, that they're defying him?
I think that there is overwhelming support in the country and in the Congress for a diplomatic resolution to this conflict.
Is Carney right, or is Ed Henry right with the question?
Again, Henry's right with the question. I mean, really, a lot of these members, despite their loyalty to the president and their party, they have seen a lot of this movie before in prior negotiations with Iran, negotiations with North Korea, which give pause. And the more the Iranians focus on backing out because of the threat of reimposition of the sanctions, the more it suggests that maybe they're looking at the very real possibility that they won't implement the plan.
Look at our Fox News polling. These numbers are overwhelming. When we ask whether or not the president's tough enough on Iran, 68% say no. 5% say too tough. I don't know who they are. Can the U.S. trust what Iran says about a nuclear weapon? 84% say no. I mean, that reflects why members of Congress are doing what they're doing, does it not?
Absolutely right. And, it's not based on just aspiration or ideas. There's real experience people have had in watching the nation of Iran has behaved, a nation that's willing to send thousands of fighters to Syria in that civil war, a nation that's a state sponsor of terrorism, a nation that has concealed its nuclear weapons programs in the past. It's only natural people wouldn't trust. They would want to have actual verification and tough measures in place to ensure enactment if an agreement is actually reached.
We've given a lot of coverage to Obamacare over the last month, and for good reason, and that will be a big issue in January. How big of an issue is this for the White House in the new year?
I think it's probably their most important national security issue for 2014. It's arguably one of the most important national security issues in the globe at the moment. The direction Iran's going, the balance in the Middle East, the idea of being able to walk back nuclear programs, very, very critical under the current era.
Stephen Yates, thank you for your time. Out of Idaho Falls, Idaho today. Enjoy your family out there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, 19 past.
Well, the